control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. The little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. We the people have taken over. We the people are little brother, standing by to dethrone each other, watching you and watching me. Paranoid, the lens is our weapon, desensitized in our lust for attention, democratized by our voyeur obsessions, watching you and watching me. Slaves to perfection, don't let them project you as you are. Reveal your every flaw. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. This is the new totalitarian state. 1,000 eyes are waiting for you to break. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Let your experience begin right now. From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride as we are live on Spaced Out Radio.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 1.
The deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, and thank you so much for tuning in and listening in at spacedoutradio.com and on Spreaker. As once again we come in from the frozen Canadian tundra, battle our way past the wild animals, sidestep Bigfoot, and enter Uncle Jimbo's cabin, stoke the fire, heat this place up, and it's getting toasty. And we're broadcasting to you live this Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning if you're on the East Coast. Here at SOR, we broadcast 3 hours a night, 7 days a week. We want to be your official one-stop shop when it comes to the supernatural, paranormal, spiritual, ufological, cryptid, and so much more. Hey, you love our music? Go to spacedoutradio.com, click on the Bumblefoot banner. Yes, the guitar god himself, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, is a fan of this show. He lets us crank his tunes every night on Spaced Out Radio. If you're on social media like I am, you can follow us on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, you can subscribe to it, is Spaced Out Radio Show. That's where we put our archives. And of course, our website, which is being redone right now, is spacedoutradio.com. At this time, we send a shout out to our fans who have just tuning in at the SHR Media Network, the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, as well as our fans at Euphoria Chronicles on Facebook, and our flagship chat room, SOR Space Travelers, online, and there's a house full there, at Paranormal Forum as well. If you're a fan of Spaced Out Radio, as we revamp the website once again, coming soon is our Space Travelers membership, where for only $5 a month, yeah, just $5, you can win prizes, take part in private group interviews, have a special section on our website, and so much more. Hey, we're going to give you a heck of a lot more than just access to our archives. Tonight's show is brought to you by Rivulet Reiki and Readings, providing healings in person or at a distance. PurplePlates.com, helping heal your body, mind, and soul. The official newspaper of this show is the New Agora newspaper, and the iPhone app, Spirit Storybox, is the official ghost hunting app of Spaced Out Radio. We're stepping back into the paranormal tonight, and just south of me here in British Columbia comes one of the most aggressive and compassionate paranormal groups going right now. Forest Moon Paranormal is one of the fastest growing paranormal teams on the West Coast. However, Eric Cooper and his team aren't just your ordinary ghost hunters looking for haunted cemeteries, homes, and buildings to investigate. No, they take it a step further. This is why I wanted to get Eric on. Eric likes to call his team an emergency paranormal squad, and his definition of the word paranormal is quite extensive as well. This is something we will get into with Eric as tonight's show goes on. Eric is a U.S. Army veteran. He served in Iraq, Somalia, Afghanistan, as well as many other places around the world. He's seen it, been there, done it, and he's not looking back. This man has had some pretty weird stories of UFOs in Iraq, ghosts in the middle of the desert, and of course, the sounds of Bigfoot right in his backyard in Washington State. Forrest Moon is very active on social media with over 3,000 members on their Facebook page, as well as on Twitter, and a new Forrest Moon YouTube channel that was set up today for videos, evidence, and stories from the field of investigation. So what makes Eric's group, Forrest Moon Paranormal, so different? Well, we're going to find out momentarily as we bring in Eric Cooper onto Spaced Out Radio tonight. Eric, thank you so much for being with us. How are you?
Hey, Dave. Doing good. Busy, but good.
Absolutely. And you know what? Yesterday was Memorial Day for all of you veterans who have served at one time or another, and those who've fallen. I want to say from a Canadian perspective, thank you so much for taking the time to serve your country and what we consider up here North America as well, because without people like you sacrificing, and I'm sure you've had friends who paid the ultimate sacrifice, it's one of those things that I don't care what side of the border you're on, you have to say thank you. You just have to. So from my family to yours and from Spaced Out Radio to you and your veteran friends, thank you so much for doing what you did.
Thank you. Thank you. It was enjoyable. I mean, it sounds weird saying that, but it was enjoyable. 4 combat tours was enough. And, I didn't lose any soldiers in combat. I lost more soldiers to suicide than anything else, but we won't even go into that. That's not paranormal.
No. That it's not. That it's not. And you know what? We will definitely get into some of the paranormal experiences that you had while you were serving overseas, because I think a lot of people wonder if that actually happens and what happens on the military side, and I'm really excited about getting into that with you. But Eric, let's start off right from the beginning. Before you joined the military, before you decided that whatever career path you wanted to take, did you always believe growing up that there was paranormal experiences out there? Did you experience as a child or as someone growing up, or was this something that just kind of hit you?
No, okay, and I've got 15 pages of talking points. I went over my whole bio and just pulled out detail after detail after detail since 3 o'clock this morning. Yeah, now, I was raised Christian. I went to church Sunday morning and night, Wednesday nights, went to Christian school my entire life, went to Jerinsburg Bible College, was immersed in Christianity, and it never fit. It never fit my entire life. I would get home from church, I would take my clothes off, put my plate clothes on, and I'd be out in the woods. We lived on a 40-acre beef farm in Big Lake, Washington. So I had a mountain that at 7 years old, I'd be out in the woods by myself. Had 10 cows. My cows that followed me around, they will come into play in this whole story here soon. I had one cow that was very unique. She was more like a big dog. The other cows that get out of the pasture, she wouldn't. She knew where she belonged. She'd stay, and she'd try to call them back. They wouldn't listen. Now, when I was 14, before 14, I might watch the occasional black and white 1960s UFO documentary and go, whatever. It didn't interest me whatsoever. The paranormal, other than my cousin had a shadow in his house, and we were just, cool, a ghost. But we never thought about it. So, no, I never even thought about paranormal until I was 14 and encountered whatever it was. I still don't know what it was. All I know is I had a neatest location. I was home alone. The neighbors called. They said, look, your cows are out, which isn't a problem, but the gate is open to the highway. It's a pretty fast-flowing highway. So I was like, okay, and put my knee brace on and hobbled about half a mile down the pasture, and there were the cows. Now, this pasture, there's no tall grass. You can see clear all the way to this hole in the gate, or the open gate. And Bossy, my number one cow, she just looked at me and was like, I don't know what to do. And I climbed in, climbed through the hole in the fence and started walking towards them, and they took one look at me, and they looked right at the gate like they knew exactly the gate's right there, we're going to go, and they ran. And I don't know what it was, still don't know to this day, but for something terrified, and if you know anything about cow behavior, they don't get scared very easy. These cows, all 9 of them, because number 10 was still in her pasture, all 9 of them screeched to a halt, and we're all looking at the exact same thing. And what it was, like I said, I don't know. There was no. It was a clear path. No skunk, no bear, no nothing physical. And they turned around and they ran right back to the hole and ran the entire half mile back to their barn. And I was just, huh. So that was kind of my eye opener. But again, I still didn't think much of it. So yeah, going after Swiggert's Bible College, high school and whatnot was pretty insignificant. I hung around the streets a lot. I went home every night, but I was a night stalker, I guess you could say. Went to coffee every night at Denny's till 2, 3 in the morning. There was an acquaintance. He would, at random, stop me and say, "Look, the cult is out. They're looking for a sacrifice. Watch your back." And he'd disappear. And over the months, I kind of got to know him. And was going through a hard time. He gave me a crystal. Just a rock, a crystal. And he said, "Look, this is used for protection." Now, I knew nothing about cult. I knew nothing about paranormal, nothing about occult sciences at all at this point in time. I was always intrigued by it. But I was like, okay. I put it in my pocket. I joined the Army in '89. I was a combat medic. My first tour was in Stuttgart. At this point in time, I continued occult studies because it was very intriguing to me. By occult, I mean I studied tarot cards, I studied astrology, some basic witchcraft, just basic stuff. And still have my crystal. Well, Desert Storm hit. A lot of my buddies went to Desert Storm. I didn't go at that point in time. And when they left, they're like, "Coop, we need to watch over our families." And one of my closest buddies, who was from right here in Skagit County as well, I believe he passed in Desert Storm. But let's see, we had his girlfriend was a mutual friend of ours, so he's like, "Look, take care of Sandra, make sure she's cool, nothing happens or whatnot." And this one night, I came back from the club. And my buddy's wife was sitting in a car in front of my barracks. She said, "Look, I know you're into the occult. I need your help." And I said, "Well, what's going on?" She said, "Well, I was drunk. I played with a Ouija board. And ever since I played with this Ouija board, the garbage can in the kitchen's been moving on its own. The rocket chair in my bedroom's been rocking on its own. This woman was pregnant." I contacted my buddy and yeah, there's nothing we could do. At this point in time, I'm new to the paranormal. I messed with the Ouija board one time in the barracks in Stuttgart, and nothing significant happened. But she miscarried her baby, and the spirit left. So
that's odd.
Yeah, and come to find out that's common with spirits. There's a lot of miscarriages with spirits.
Eric, let me ask you this. As you're going through your Army career and you're starting to get into the paranormal, what made you, or what was that one moment that made you all of a sudden say, "This is something I have to investigate. This is something that I have an itch I just can't scratch, and I need to figure out what is going on outside of everyday life"?
Oh, that would be when a friend of mine woke up with 3 triangular marks on her lower abdomen, and we were watching a TV show, and it happened to be on alien abductees. And these alien abductees were going through their experiences, and the first thing they said was, we woke up, and there was a triangular-shaped pattern on my lower abdomen. And then they went into the whole process of the nosebleeds, the missing time. They had a pregnancy. It was missing after 2 weeks because come to find out through research and through my studies since the 90s with the Gray hybrid program, The gestation is about 2 to 4 months. Then they reabduct. They take the fetus out. The fetus is placed in an incubation room in the spacecraft, and then these abductees will start dreaming about going to this nursery and being made to hold these hybrid fetuses and bonding with them. Now, some abductees enjoy it. Other ones, it's terrifying. What do you do? But that was my eye-opener. She started getting abdominal cramps. We went to Madigan Hospital because that's the only hospital I knew to take her, really, having been in the Army. And they were puzzled because they did ultrasound, they did tests, everything. The hormones were there. There was no abort. It was just a missing fetus. And they had no idea how to explain that one, and never did get an explanation after that. And my first book, after that happened, I picked up David Jacobs' Secret Life. Awesome book. If you're interested in abduction, that was the first book I ever read. That was written back, I believe, in the 90s, maybe late 80s. And it goes into the whole hybrid program based on David Jacobs. He does, I believe he does regressive hypnosis. I'm not really sure. But anyway, that was the first book I picked up. The second was Linda Moulton Howe, and that goes into cattle mutilations. Now, bovine blood, cow blood, is the closest to human blood. My theory on that has to do with the hybrid program as well, in that they're taking bovine blood, because if you look at the cattle mutilation phenomena, all these mutilated cattle were insanguinated, meaning the blood was taken out of them. Why? It only makes sense in that bovine blood is the closest to human. So that was my. After that, it just exploded, and I went headlong into the abduction phenomena. And then that would have been 94. I went back into the Army in 95, January, and my first duty station was Illesheim, Germany. And that was my first UFO experience. And I'd just taken a soldier to prison in Mannheim. It was about midnight. We're coming back through Kitzingen. And I could see the full moon on the right side. There was a big white full moon. But on the left side, there was a big, just as big as the moon, orange orb hovering over Kitzingen. And I watched this for about 10 minutes, and just like a light, I hit a light switch, it blinked off. I was like, wow, what was that? So, yeah, that was my first UFO experience. My second, actually in between my two experiences, I had a chow chow. And there was one day I was in my house, and I got this metallic taste in my mouth. And I went into the living room, and the chow was following something around the house, and he was looking at the ceiling. And he actually sat down and whimpered like someone had told him to sit. And really don't know what that was either. I mean, other than a visitation of some sort. But within 10 minutes, the taste in the mouth went away. The dog was acting back to normal. And about 2 or 3 months later, I had the inclination to go out on my patio, and I saw a star blinking. So I got a flashlight and flashed my flashlight at this blinking star. It shot down to about airline height and hovered. And I looked at it for about 5 minutes, and then it shot back into its original point and stayed there. And I tried flashing again; it didn't come back. But and that was my second experience. I didn't have any more UFO experiences other than doing research until I was in Iraq in about 05, 06.
Let's concentrate on your military experiences right after the break here, because I think that's very, very interesting that while you're serving in a combat area, there is actually UFO activity and paranormal activity coming on. Right now, I want to talk a little bit about Forest Moon Paranormal. You guys just set up a new YouTube channel today. You've been very active on social media in garnering members that are in fellow paranormal fields as you try and strength is in numbers. Define for me what makes Forest Moon Paranormal so much different than every other paranormal group that is out there, because by name, you're one of 36,000 that are registered in the United States alone.
Exactly. Now, that's an easy answer. The easiest answer is we don't go to hot spots. We don't go to known places that we know spirits are at, because why should we? We already know that they exist. We're not looking for scientific answers. We're here for the experiencer. We're here because 99% of paranormal experiences are traumatic. We're here for the crisis aspect. I've got documentation in counseling. I've got documentation in OSHA inspection. I've got documentation in I'm ordained pagan clergy. I've got documentation to back up my credentials. So when it comes down to it, we also have our astral, and our as well as our QRF team. QRF team is a quick reactionary force where if I get an immediate danger, someone's being attacked, something majorly traumatic is happening, I have two people I can call on. They'll be there within seconds, astrally. So yeah, that's where we're different. One, we don't go after the science and the proof. We go after the trauma of the experiencer, and we're quick about it.
Let me, sorry for cutting you off. You say you're quick about it, that you're there for the experiencer. How does that differ, and why did you take that route rather than being the everyday paranormal team that is looking for haunted houses, haunted cemeteries, maybe a haunted park or a former prison or hospital?
Probably because of empathy. When I was, back when I had my first experience with abduction, I worked with CAUSE, the Citizens Against UFO Secrecy, led by Peter Gersten. It's long been shut down, and Peter went off in different directions. But I worked with probably over 1,000 abductees over the years. I saw their trauma. I felt their trauma, whether it be through a phone conversation, be through, I met some in person. And I think the worst thing is to have to tell somebody, oh gosh, going by your signs and symptoms, I want you to start a dream journal, and I want you to do this and this and this. And then have to tell them that they're being abducted by aliens. Because there's no other answers to what's going on with them. And when you see the pattern, because there's a pattern, we talked about this at the round table. The experiencer is important because the experiencer establishes a pattern. Once you have that pattern, more people will come out because they've got the same pattern. And that's where the importance of the experiencer is. That's where the importance of taking care or helping them through their crisis is. I understand I can't help you a whole lot if you're being abducted. I honestly can't. But for a lot of people, the fact that somebody understands what they're going through, and the fact that they're not crazy because everyone else is looking at them like they're crazy, and they can understand it a little bit better. That's where the healing starts.
And that's really important, is to focus on the experiencer, because I think a lot of these paranormal groups, and this is why I've kind of shied away, and believe it or not, Eric, I've actually taken a lot of heat on social media for the fact that previous to this, Spaced Out Radio wasn't doing a lot of paranormal or horror or demonic type stories on this show. And the main reason why I wasn't is because most paranormal teams, I'm not going to say all, but most paranormal teams out there, they're out there investigating the same places that every other paranormal team is investigating. And when you add it all up, yes, they're getting evidence. Yes, they're getting EVPs, cameras, photos, video footage, or whatever they're getting. And that is very, very cool. The information and the evidence that they are getting to prove that the paranormal is there is fantastic. But what are you doing with it? And the reason why I wanted to talk to you about this tonight is you're doing something about it, because you're coming right at it from a different angle.
Right. Now, here's my pet peeve too, is paranormal TV didn't help us any. I mean, it's helped a little bit get the word out that there's paranormal things going on. But Paranormal TV also brought every Tom, Dick, and Harry out and said, oh, yeah, let's go ghost busting. Well, now I've got clients coming to me going, I don't know what to do. I've experienced this for about 3 months now. I've had 2 different teams come in, and they'll say, yep, we've got something on the EVP, but I don't know what to do about it now. And by the time they get to us, they've been suffering through this for about 4 months, 5 months, maybe just a week. You never know. But, yeah, we need more teams out there that help the experiencer, and or at least know how to deal with whatever entity you're dealing with. One of the two. There needs to be more education, more training materials, whatever the case is. That's kind of part of the objective of the Paracon as well, is to get more teams to the Paracon, so we can all get on the same sheet of music, basically, and to set up maybe some form of a council or some form of a committee with select groups that show up and want to be a part of the network. And then we'll be able to reach out, help more people, bring more light to the paranormal at the same time.
Eric, I'm going to get you to hold on here for our first break of the night. Time is up for us at the bottom of the hour here. We're going to step out for a quick commercial break. Our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio is Forest Moon Paranormal and Eric Cooper. Eric is also a big fan of this show, and he's usually in our SOR Space Travelers on a nightly basis, so we thank him. We're talking more paranormal right after this. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Hi there. This is your medium, Joanna, from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 Mediums and a Large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is Elizabeth Anglin, and on the last Monday of every month, I join Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's Cosmic Passport. We delve into everything from extraterrestrial contact to animal communication. It's a lot of fun, and every month it's something different and exciting. I would love it if you would join us. You can hear and learn from my experiences, and I'd like to know about yours as well. Cosmic Passport on spacedoutradio.com.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small. You're bound to find what you're looking for, so join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost?
Look no further than Spaced Out Radio.
SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click on to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on radio
or our website, including social media.
From commercial spots to banners, we have it all.
Check out our competitive pricing today.
Want to connect with us online? Find us on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show, on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio, on Instagram, Dave Scott SOR, on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. All right, space travelers, here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. All right, welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thanks to everyone listening in on the SHR Media Network, on Paranormal Forum, on the Spaced Out Radio chat room, on Spreaker, as well as on Facebook at Euphoria Chronicles, as well as the SOR Space Travelers, our flagship show and chat room for this show. We appreciate all of you tuning in, and those who are not in the chat rooms just yet, thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the program, we are going to have Eugene Braxton on. Eugene will be coming in here. He will be talking everything from NDEs to OBEs to ETs. We're going very hard on it tomorrow night with Eugene. 3 hours long tomorrow night. Remember, if you want to follow us on social media, you could do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, we can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, where we store our archives, is Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. Tonight, we're talking paranormal with Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Eric, thank you so much for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
Right before the break, we were talking about paranormal groups and what makes yours different from everybody else. You do have a team that will go out there and investigate these places if you have a haunted house or anything like that. But you're more interested in helping people. And I'm curious, why did you decide to take that route rather than the basics? Why are people so important, Eric?
Well, okay, I guess, like I said, because of empathy. I was a combat medic for a reason. Seeing people in pain, I've got to do something. That's the bottom line.
Right.
And so, I guess that's the only answer I've got is I'm here to help.
Now, you guys don't charge either for your investigations.
No. Everything we do is free. If our client offers $20 for gas or something of that nature, fine. We'll take $20 for gas. Only if they offer. And other than that, no, we do not charge for a damn thing.
Now, you have a different definition of the word paranormal. A lot of people, when they think of the word paranormal, they're thinking ghosts, spirits, entities, poltergeists, demons, yet you have a different definition. What is that?
Look at the word paranormal. It's anything out of the ordinary, and it is slowly starting to shift. You still have the hardliners that still want to say UFO is not paranormal. No, to us, the whole spectrum is paranormal. Everything from cryptozoology, which covers Mothman, Chupacabra, Bigfoot, and everything in between, to UFOs, alien abduction, alien encounters. Down to your hauntings, entities, and everything else. I even cover conspiracy theories. Because if you look at it, a lot of conspiracy theories intertwine with abduction and UFOs, and other stuff. But I've been doing conspiracy theories about the same time I started my UFO studies, and that was back in the early 90s.
I have a couple questions coming in from the SOR Space Travelers room on Facebook. We'll get to Gail's question first. Eric, what does Forest Moon Paranormal actually do to help an experiencer?
What do we do to help an experiencer? Well, if I deem psychiatric, I will recommend psychiatric as far as help goes. I don't have anybody on my team right now that is qualified psychiatric, but that may change. the biggest thing for experiencers, like I said, is getting their story out and understanding that they aren't alone and these things happen and they're not crazy. That's the biggest healing. Now, if it's something medical, okay, go see your doctor. If they need counseling, if I'm not qualified to counsel, I do basic counseling. I can, but it also depends on their religious background. If they're Catholic, go see your priest. If they're Christian, go see your pastor. Forest Moon, we have our religions in our group, but we are pagan at the core. It started out as a pagan group, and it'll always be a pagan group. But like I said, all religions are in our group. So when it comes down to it, and especially with Native American or First Nations, if it's a First Nation case, I will automatically will not touch it. I will go talk to the local medicine man and refer them to take that case, because that's a whole different spectrum.
Why is that a different question? Why is that such a different spectrum when it comes to First Nations?
That comes to respect. It comes down to respect of their particular path. That's just my opinion. Yeah, anybody can go in, but you're also going to really upset a native spirit if you're not native. Right. So just really out of respect of the spirit, and because we're not here to bash on spirits as well. I have mediums and channelers that I can use to help cross over. So by all means, we are not here to just go slash spirits or entities. We do try to mediate, and we have mediated in the past with clients that were willing to live in an occupant or in a house with a spirit, if the spirit was willing to work with them, and that's worked. So we either can mediate, or if it comes down to it and they are causing harm and we have to remove them, they will be removed, bottom line. But when it comes to First Nations, no, I'll let the medicine man handle it. And like I said, that's out of respect.
Galen in the SOR Space Travelers Room on Facebook would like to ask, Eric, what do you know, and has your group ever investigated crop circles? She knows binary code, and a couple of new ones are in code. Are they messages from aliens, and if so, why not in English? They are as cryptic as ghosts.
I can't, I've studied crop circles, and again, that's another, if you want a good author on crop circles, Linda Moulton Howe, because she's done a lot of crop circle investigation as well. We don't have, to my knowledge, we don't have a whole lot of crop circles in the States. So, no, I've never actually, got the opportunity to. I'd love to, but we've never actually gotten the opportunity to investigate a crop circle. Now, I know there was an English pair of men that tried to claim they were making all of them years ago by doing circles with boards. And no, for one, they couldn't have created 20 different crop circles in one night across the globe. So that kind of throws that theory out. I also saw a video of, they actually showed it was an orb that came down and created the crop circle. That was unique. The biggest thing you look for in crop circles, if you ever actually get the chance to look at a crop circle, you'll see that the crops are actually intertwined. That can't be done by man. Two, there usually we have radiation equipment here in Forest Moon that we can use. We do have all the equipment we need available. Because, like I said, we're also a large network, and the big thing with crop circles, and same with UFO landing sites, they will have radiation trace amounts. And if you take a slice of whatever crop has been made a circle of, there a lot of times they found DNA molecular structure change. So that's about as far as I can go with crop circles. Throughout my research, anyway.
When you were in the Army, and let's focus on your military career here, you served in a number of hot spots around the world, some good, some bad, and some ugly. I want to focus on the paranormal side right now. you had some incredible experiences with you and your troop and your platoon and other witnesses that were there that just blew your mind. I would love it if you could share some stories.
You know what? When we get done with the show, if they want, I don't know where to post them, I'll post them in SOAR, but I've got a whole lot of pictures that they can look and they can analyze and they can comment on. But, okay, I ran a pagan group in Talifar. Actually, I ran a pagan group in both Balad and Talifar. I was in Balad 04 to 05 and Talifar 05 to 06. As far as the paranormal went, not much happened in Balad. It was Talifar that was amazing. Now, Talifar is right on the corner of Syria, Iraq, and Turkey. So if you look at the history, that's where the ancient Sumerians lived before there were borders. The ancient goddess worshippers of Ishtar. We actually met the Yazidi, which are the ancient Sumer by generational bloodline. And yeah, there was about a week straight. Now, could it have been an experimental craft? That is always a possibility. But within my pagan group, I did have helicopter mechanics, aviators that knew what they were looking at. And what they were looking at the same time was not ours. This thing had a different light pattern than any normal. I believe I'm trying to remember exactly where they had green, blue, and red lights on it. It was triangular shaped. Somebody mentioned earlier, a couple of days ago when we were talking about this, whether it was the stealth. It was not the stealth. It made no noise. It could hover. And it came for about, I want to say, a week straight, about the same time every night. It could have been experimental, but intuition tells me it wasn't. I don't know what the hell it was. We actually had a video of it for a minute. Over the years of moving and switching laptops and whatnot, I've lost the video. I've been trying to track a buddy of mine down that might still have it. He's in Florida, but he's a hard one to track down. But that was the third UFO encounter I had. In our pagan group, we had the Turkish special forces. That they were intrigued and they came. We drank coffee every night. That was our gathering. We drank coffee. We honored our Sabbats. In fact, the Lama Sabbat, I'll post those pictures too. I did for one of your shows a while back, where I took pictures and you can actually see the elements leaving. And normally, if it was one, I'd say camera glitch, possibly. But this was all 4 elements. Showed themselves leaving when we close out a ritual. That was cool. Never seen that before. We have pictures of full moon rites that we've done that were weird. There was very weird energy that night. But you're looking at the Middle East. The Middle East is very weird energy to begin with. You know what? I'll just post the pictures after the show, and everyone can look at them and make their comments.
Sure, those will be in the Spaced Out Radio group on Facebook, and if you're not a part of that group, you can join in. We'll allow you in, and you can see Eric's pictures as they post. Are you sure what you were looking at in the skies of Iraq was not the infamous TR-3B, which seems to be popping up everywhere, which is one of these United States military secret black ops aircraft?
And like I said, I'm not discounting that. It could have been. The only thing I go by is the soldiers that were with me witnessing this, that new aircraft. And I mean, of course, if it was black ops, they wouldn't have known about that either. So it would have been new to them too. So that is a possibility. I just know it wasn't normal.
When you were in the military, was there ever, or do you know of any rules that you were ever told or talking to other soldiers in regards to what to do if you have a paranormal experience or you come across a UFO or even a crash sighting?
No. I was, going to Atlanta real quick. When I was in Atlanta, I was sent to a safety school. OSHA actually taught it. That's why I am OSHA inspection certified. That was done through the military. It was free to me, and it was done by OSHA. So it's an official OSHA certification. And they taught us what to inspect for, and they also taught us accident investigation, and on that side of it, aviation investigation. So yeah, we were trained because I was in an Apache unit. So aircraft accidents were a very real possibility. The first thing we were trained was to go secure the site. But as far as UFOs, to my knowledge, no. Basic aircraft security and basic aircraft investigation, yes.
I'm only asking because the military does play a major part in ufology when it comes to crash sites. We look at Roswell and San Augustine. Everybody's heard of Roswell. Very few, unless you were a UFO geek like myself, you've actually heard of San Augustine, which crashed. The crash site was literally discovered the day or two before Roswell. And there's a whole theory upon that. But in those circumstances, as well as other circumstances like Kecksburg, or you have the Shag Harbor crash here in Canada, which is Canada's Roswell in Nova Scotia, okay, where it crashed into Ocean Bay.
You've got the Maury Island encounter here in Washington as well. It's not
Maury Island,
maybe 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, I've never gone up there, but...
Absolutely. And what I'm asking, Eric, is obviously in the military, there are these units out there that are trained for this. Is it one of those things for someone who's never served in the military? Is it one of those don't ask, don't tell questions?
I've never heard of one. Now, it might be, I know, you got to remember, I was Army. Most of those military... most of those military cases were done by the Air Force, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Nellis Air Force Base. All of those were done by the Air Force. So the Air Force probably has its own, or it did, probably about the same time as Blue Book was around.
Mm-hmm. No, understandable. Gloria is just asking, San Augustine is where VLA is. San Augustine, I'm just going to quickly explain this. In January of 2015, we had a gentleman on named Gerald Anderson who was actually a witness to the San Augustine crash. Now, the theory behind the San Augustine crash is these two flying saucer-type ships were flying together over New Mexico. There was a lightning storm the previous night. And you have to remember, during those times in New Mexico, they were testing all the nuclear bombs as nuclear weaponry was coming into fold in 1947. And what happened was there was so much security and so much radar around there. The belief system is, by the ufologists who investigated both cases, that these two UFOs actually collided with one another because they got a little bit tripped up. Believe it or not, they have technology as well. And technology doesn't do so well in a thunder and lightning storm when you combine the radar as well. So the theory is these two collided. The one crashed immediately in San Augustine. The other one, a wounded UFO, fluttered its way over to crash in Corona, which became the Roswell incident. Now, nobody hears about San Augustine because nobody really gets into that. The focus, because of the military presence there, is all on Roswell. But that's what happened there.
Well, here's the other thing, too. Because if you look at Mexico actually had a supposed crash about the same time as Roswell as well. I'd have to pull out that information. But, yeah, about the same time as Roswell, there's another theory that, I don't know if it was the St. Augustine one you're talking about, or potentially a third one. But supposedly there was a radar object that went across Texas into Mexico and crashed in the Mexican desert.
That one I have heard. I've heard of that one, and that one has, and the name escapes me right now, but that one has nothing to do with the Roswell incident.
Okay.
Right. So, When it comes to the military, have you ever had anybody, because you meet soldiers from all across the country, you share war stories, lack of a better term, with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Are there a lot of experiencers when it comes to the military?
There is. In fact, we find each other. So yeah, I've had many discussions with soldiers over, but nothing. Ironically, they were all before they joined the military.
I see that. Eric, one of the things I want to get into, and I want to stay with the UFO field here when it comes to Forest Moon Paranormal, and then in the next half hour, I want to get into the paranormal investigation side, because I think that's really what we need to get into in regards to everything. But when it comes to Forest Moon's role, when it comes to UFO sightings or extraterrestrial contact, how do you guys handle that?
Okay, for one, if an abductee comes to me, they don't know what's going on. They give me the signs and symptoms of what's going on. My first course of I can't talk. My first recourse is actually to sit in the astral team. From the astral, one, distance is no issue. We can have a case. In fact, our team is scattered. I have two here in Washington. I have one in Indiana, and like I said, they're scattered. In fact, we have a school going on right now. We're teaching some new folks. Some of them don't know how to astral. We're teaching them how to astral. Other ones know how to astral, but they're developing further. Now, one thing from the astral, like I said, there's no difference. There's no distance issue. They can go, all they need is a picture, or to talk to them on the phone, or talk to them on even any kind of electronic device, whether it's on Facebook or whatever. They get a lock onto their energy, and they're gone. From the astral, you can also pinpoint if there's anything else going on, whether it's an entity, whether it's a spirit, anything out of the ordinary that's going on before we go to the abduction. Now, aliens also travel in the astral. They're very confused by humans traveling in the astral, but there are aliens that do travel astrally. And one thing the astral team does as well, we've only done it once, but we're available for it, is protection detail. We actually had to protect an author who will be at the Paracon while he was writing his book. He was writing a book about his mill lab experiences. And one, the government did not want it to get out. And two, apparently the aliens didn't want it to get out. He was being attacked astrally. So our team went in, set up a perimeter, and protected him while he was writing. They took shifts, and he got his book out. So that's kind of the first recourse. Anytime I get a case, if it's something not in Washington, or not in my area anyway, I'll send the astral team out, or the QRF, depending on how immediate it is. Second, I have a 9-page questionnaire. It covers everything from their occupation, their religion, meds they're on, medical issues, how many rooms in the house are being affected, if that's what the case is. It's quite extensive. I can look at that, go to the location, if it's, like I said, if it's here, do some readings in their house, look at their wounds, look at their marks, and get a bigger picture of what's going on. My biggest advice, if you think you're being abducted, start a dream journal, because your dreams tell you everything, especially with abduction. A lot of times there's a memory block where you won't remember anything. If you wake up and you've got scoop marks, if you've got, let's see, what are the implant locations? Implants are often in the nasal, behind the ear. I've seen some of the arms. But yeah, there's a whole lot that goes into it, and then we go from there.
And when you're dealing with people who are being taken, because there is so many different and differing experiences, from the positive to the downright unknown to the absolute horrific nightmares of the experiences, you really have to be prepared for anything at any time. They're all frightening and scary to the people who are having these contact experiences, but in the end, you have to be able to decipher what is actually happening to them.
Exactly. Now I do newly, Ashad, he's my entity expert, and he's part of my QRF. He just graduated from hypnotist school. So we might start using him locally if we have to do regressive hypnosis. That is a very, I don't like regressive hypnosis, because if you don't know what you're doing, you can ask leading questions, and what wasn't an abduction could turn into an abduction. So I am real leery. I'd much rather do conscious recall through dream journals, that kind of thing.
A lot of the people who are having a contact, Eric, are they people who this is just happening out of the ordinary, that they're figuring out this has happened? Or are these people who have said in the past, you know what, I just want to see an extraterrestrial. I need to prove to myself that they're there. And it's one of those things where you got to be careful what you wish for.
I haven't encountered too many like that. Most of them are experiencing weird phenomena. They've done their own studies and found that they do fit abduction, and they would just want validation. And once it's validated and they understand, again, that they aren't the only ones out there, that there's thousands, perhaps millions out there that are being abducted, it does, in a weird sense, I guess, ease their mind, because it wouldn't ease my mind. But at least I know they're not alone. Now, I do know of a couple abduction groups that meet, that actually physically meet. I think there's one in Seattle, led by Deborah. Not sure if she's listening or not. But, yeah, it's kind of like a group session where they actually just meet and they talk about their experiences. And it's kind of like an emotional healing for them. And I think that's a good way to go as well with that one.
Eric, we're going to get you to hold on. We have a couple questions from Galen in the SOR Space Travelers room coming up after the break. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio tonight. We are talking with Forest Moon Paranormal's Eric Cooper. More of your questions and more questions regarding the paranormal right after this. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio on the Spreaker.com network.
Do you believe you've been in contact with extraterrestrials? Have you seen the Greys, the Mantis, or the Reptilians? I am Samantha Mullet, and on the second Tuesday of each month, you can listen and learn from my experiences with off-worlders on Spaced Out Radio's The ET Experience. With host Dave Scott, we'll sit down and chat about what's going on with our friends from other worlds. We'll also try to answer your questions, so please tune in on the second Tuesday of the month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio. And we give it up to you guys, all the listeners, and the live listeners usually get something special and hang out in the chat room. And we love to have you. So we'll see you every Saturday night at 8 p.m. You know where.
If you're a fan of social media, you can follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, where our archives are stored, is Spaced Out Radio Show. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. All our music on Spaced Out Radio is provided by the guitar god himself, Ron Bumblefoot Thal. You can find all this music at spacedoutradio.com by clicking on the Bumblefoot banner. Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in on the Spaced Out Radio Network, which will include the SHR Media Network, Paranormal Forum online, the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, those listening in on Spreaker, not in the chat room, as well as on Facebook at Euphoria Chronicles, as well as the SOR Space Travelers. Good to have you all with us tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, Eugene Braxton will join us. We're going to be talking everything from NDEs, OBEs, ETs, and we'll even play the alphabet game as well. That's tomorrow night on the show. Reminder, if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, where we store our archives, is Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. Now, we bring in Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Thank you, Eric, for joining us tonight.
Oh, always a pleasure, like I keep on saying.
I got a couple questions coming in from the SOR chat room in on Facebook land. Galen wants to know, at count from the experiences that you have covered with ET contact, how many different species do you know of?
Oh, God. That I know of personally 3. Now, in my file section in the group, you will find a book that's got 160 different species. And I have no doubts there's that many. Through my research, I know there's at least 16 subspecies of the gray. I'm not even sure how many subspecies of the reptilian. Now, here's what's interesting. Jumping ahead a little bit. If you go on Google and Google Madigan reptilians, you're going to find several articles. Fort Lewis is very dark. I'll say that's the easiest way to say it. It's very dark. Not too far from Fort Lewis, in the town of Yelm, there's what's called the Ramtha School of Enlightenment, and it's like 100-acre compound. And I mean compound literally. They're actually fenced off and gated. It's run by a woman named J.Z. Knight. Now it's strange because Dave just did a show with Pacific
Northwest.
Oh hell. Yeah, they did a whole episode on them people, and just wow. J.Z. Knight is from Roswell, New Mexico. Back in the 40s, I want to say, she was channeled by a warrior spirit, Lemuria, named Ramtha. Now, these people believe that the reptilians live in Mount Rainier, which is about 2 hours south of me. It's possible. I have no doubts about it. Now, if you look at the Madigan reptilian website, there's there's supposed to be an underground passage that goes from Rainier to the old Madigan Hospital on Fort Lewis. Now, I've been to the old Madigan Hospital. It's all one floor, but there's an elevator that goes down. And I think I have pictures on my computer of old Madigan somewhere, and I'll actually get them posted up too, because it's very haunted. It's a very haunted location. Now, Dave and I were just talking the other night about this too. Just south of the old Madigan Hospital is what they call the farm. And the farm, it looks run down. And you wouldn't know there's anything there, but it's completely fenced off. It's got concertina wire around it. It's got keypads. I mean, you ain't getting in there unless they want you in there. It's got cameras. That's where they do animal experimentation. Now, we'll get to the reptilians, I guess, later, because I've encountered the reptilians twice, and we'll get to those stories. But the same energy the reptilians give you is in all over that area. So, is there an underground passage? I have, it wouldn't shock me one bit. But yeah, I've encountered the reptilians personally twice. I know about the Greys. And then there's the Nordics. The Nordics, I know, are in Europe. They're about 6 foot tall. They're blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and they speak telepathically. The one was spotted outside a military hospital, as a matter of fact.
I have also heard of the Mantids, and a friend of mine who is a friend of this show, Samantha Mowat, who does the ET Experience the second Tuesday of every month, she's actually dealt with mantid beings as well. Is Eric there? Eric, did we lose you? I hope his phone didn't just die. Well, you know what? I have heard, and you know what? I directed Eric from Paranormal Forum the other night to the Russian Alien book, if you've ever seen that one. And that is an interesting book in regards to the Russian species that apparently the old, what's their form? The KGB had actually found, and it discovers like 57 different species of extraterrestrial in the world that have visited this planet. Now you talk to people who have had experiences, okay, or you talk to someone along the lines who, well, let's say Ray Kozelandich, who says there's over 200 different species that have joined to come to this planet. It's very interesting indeed. All you have to do in order to find it, and I believe I gave that link to Eric Marcoum last night, is go to Google, type in Russian KGB UFO or alien book. One of the two. Eric says he can hear me. Oh, there you are. Now I got you. Eric, can you hear me? I don't know what's going on with Eric right now. Maybe it's Skype. We're going to hang up and we're going to call Eric right back here. 1 second here. Eric, if you're listening, we're going to call you right back. I'm just going to type Eric a note here because apparently we're having some Skype issues. And I don't know what's going on here. It's kind of weird that we were just talking about the farm and Eric got booted off the air. Let's call him back. Let's see what's happening here. See if we can get him back here.
Hello.
Now we got you.
Okay, where did I get cut off?
Well, I found it very interesting that we were getting cut off right when you were talking about reptilians around the farm and the KGB, and not the KGB, but around Fort Lewis, and then you were talking about some hospital.
I could hear you, but you weren't hearing me at all. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Send me a message when you can't hear me, and we'll reconnect, because it's going to happen again.
Lovely.
I have no doubts. Yeah. And, yeah. I'm being watched. I have been watched for about a week now.
Oh, fun times, fun times.
Ain't it, though? We have an agreement. They don't mess with me, I don't mess with them. Maybe I'm going to have to go mess with them. But anyway, okay, Old Madigan, yeah, I talked about the farm. The farm is an animal experimentation place. There is, I have no doubts, an underground passage going from Rainier to Old Madigan. I'll put those pictures up as well. If not tonight, by tomorrow. But yeah, there is a book. Did you hear? Did I get through about the Nordics?
We were just getting into it when you mentioned the Nordics. I mentioned the mantids. And
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I had a question for you. What do you think about the mantis being related to the reptilians? Because they look kind of similar in a weird way.
Well, much like any other species, from what I've learned about the mantid beings, they seem to be both good and bad. You know, when it comes to it, the people that I know who have had contact with mantid beings, it has been positive, but I have heard some negative stuff recently in regards to it. You know, and the one thing with all extraterrestrials, it's a coin flip, man. It's a real coin flip, and you don't know what's going to be taking you. You don't know what's going on, really. And people who say they do, well, you know what? There's a few that I do believe are in the know and do have the ability to get that information. You know, other people may say they sound like a crackpot, or they sound like something right out of a sci-fi novel, and they seem to be making things up. But there are people on this planet who have that information, and it's a matter of, you know, weeding out and vetting the good ones from the bad ones to try and figure out what's going on. Let's move on here, because we do have more questions. Galen is asking in the SOR Space Travelers, have you ever had any boogeyman or monster encounters that you can recall?
Boogeyman or pissed off spirit, if that counts.
Sure, tell us.
Okay, that was back when we were living in Dettelbach, Germany. We were living in an apartment. We had 2 apartments, actually, because I had my stepdaughter with me. And if the bathroom was in use, I would go to her bathroom to take a shower. You felt very watched. I mean, like you would actually look up to see if someone was there. We had pictures that were moved. We had cold water that boiled. The door would be open. There'd be no breeze. But this rancid breeze would come through the apartment. The final straw that we actually left, because at that point in time I didn't deal with spirits. That would have been back in 02, 03. About 02, 03. And a knife was thrown across our kitchen.
Really?
And we left. At that moment, we packed our stuff up and we moved to base housing. And it's funny, Germans are very open. Germans are very much open to the paranormal, because we went to that housing lady and explained, and I told her, you know, I feel like a nut job because I really don't want to explain that we're being run out by a ghost, but we are. She said, oh my God, okay, not a problem, let's get you out of there. Like, wow, just like that. She goes, yep, not a problem. And they moved us. I mean, we never went back there. We went back there to pack our stuff up, and that was it. Now, in talking to a medium, that particular spirit, I actually talked to a spirit in that house. And the spirit that threw the knife was that of he owned that building. Now, Dettelbach is over 100 years old. It's one of the older winery towns. And right next door, in fact, was a winery. But the individual that died there was a butcher, and he butchered in the cellar. And rumor had it, he butchered kids. So this was coming from... Oh, God, yeah. So it explains a whole lot as far as why it was so evil in the house. And that, you know, experiencing a pissed-off evil spirit that's not a demon, you know, lends fuel to my fire that, hey, you know what? I don't really your belief is your belief, but not everything is demonic. Not everything is a demon. There are pissed off spirits out there that can act just as demonic as a demon. So that's where my pet peeve is too, because you see on all these TV shows, you see on other groups, oh, we've got demons. Well, how do you know you've got a demon? How do you know you don't just have a pissed off spirit that was very evil when he died? Because your soul does not change. Your spirit will be the same as when you were alive.
Very understandable. Okay, let's go to Gloria's question in the SOR Space Travelers. Can we end up doing hypnotic regression to help people that aren't sure if they've been abducted?
Again, you can, yeah. I'll be very selective on who you pick to do your hypnotic regression. But again, if you get the wrong person, or not even if you get the wrong person, but if you get someone that asks you a leading question, what turns out that was not an abduction could very well, in your mind, turn out to be an abduction, and now you've got a crisis that shouldn't have been. So I'm not saying I would go for the one that is well known for being an abduction specific hypnotic hypnotic therapist. I'm trying to remember. I used to know a pretty famous one that does it, that does travel, and I don't think he charges a whole lot. But yeah, there's a lot of validation. It's based on fact, but if you watch Fourth Encounter, Fourth Kind, it's not based on fact per se, but it's based on possibility. And I highly suggest you watch that movie. But yeah, any regressive hypnotherapist can do it. But like I said, I would be selective, because if they ask the wrong question, you can live a trauma that you don't have to live because it never happened.
Joe in the Space Out Radio Space Travelers group on Facebook is asking, Eric, do you believe it's best to fight ETs when they come to abduct you?
That's a loaded question, and I already answered it in the chat, but I'll answer it here because everyone needs to hear it. If you actually have the ability to, by all means, I would. Yeah, but 9 out of 10 times of an abduction, you're not going to wake up. Most of the time you won't. There are cases where people wake up and they have fought, and they were sent straight back down to their house because ET didn't want to deal with them no more. So yeah, if you actually have the conscious ability to fight, then I would say, yeah, hit them. That's just me, though.
Well, as I was saying last night with Elizabeth, I think I was taken about 2-3 weeks ago, and how I know when I'm taken, I do not remember my dreams. I'm someone who does not remember my dreams. And I had a dream, or in a dream state, I recall being around a bunch of grays my height, and I'm 5'9". They were around the same height as me. And I remember they were trying to hold my arms back, and I got my arms loose, and I just started punching.
There you go.
And so I would say yes to Joe's question. If you feel that it is a negative experience, your body is going to tell you, fight back. Fight back.
Well, yeah, your body's going to tell you, and your intuition's going to tell you. If your gut tells you something's wrong, by all means, fight your way out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And
get that pointed stick.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. And I fully agree with that. Gail wants to know in the SOR Space Travelers room, how do you know you were being watched and by whom?
Oh, right now? Well, actually, I was talking to my new, one of our new mediums that we do have. Let's take a step back. I was actually, a year or two ago, I was looking at the David Paulides cases. If you've never heard of David Paulides, he's got Missing 411. He investigates and has written many books about all the thousands and thousands of missing people in our national forests, in the mountain areas. And this spans the globe. It's not just America. It's not just in Canada, because he has separate books for North America. and then he has another book for other countries. I started looking in this area to see if there's missing people, and this story is kind of going to go back into play with reptilian cases that I dealt with years ago, and we'll get to those maybe next. But I was going to put together an expedition and go up on Sauk Mountain. That's a mountain. I'll post a picture of our barn with Sauk Mountain in the background. It's very jagged. And I was just talking to somebody about Sauk Mountain the other day. Nobody's been to the backside of Sauk Mountain. There is no trail that will go to the backside of Sauk Mountain. And I think there's a reason why. I was going to do an expedition up Sauk Mountain because there's actually a woman that's been missing for a good 5 years. Now, what happened to her through our medium that we use in Forest Moon, she was actually pushed off the mountain. The body's never been recovered, so I won't go into that particular case. But I was going to put together an expedition, and I was called by two different people on separate sides of the country that one had done a channeling in a reading on the expedition specifically, because I actually asked him to, and was told not to. I was told not to because the reptilians have a nest up on the backside of Sauk Mountain. And if I had gone up there, we were going to be annihilated. Now, let's talk about the reptilians for a second. They're a very weak species. They're very psychic. That's where their strength is being psychic. They know when you're coming. They're very weak. They bleed. They could die. But they're pack animals. They travel in groups, and they have very high technological weapons. So you can take 5-10 people up there with heavy weapons. You're not going to get far. So we scrapped the expedition, because actually it's funny, because like 2 or 3 hours after that reading, and it's funny because his channelings are with spirits, and an interdimensional being actually came into his reading. And he was like, look, I've never, ever had an interdimensional being come into my readings before, so you need to take this serious. And I was like, wow, yeah, okay. Well, about 3 hours later, I got a phone call from a whole different, she does bibliomancy. Bibliomancy is where they actually take their Bible, and they ask the question, and they pull out scripture. Her scripture, it's not funny, but it's funny, but her scripture actually described us in a wooded area with our heads on poles. So, coming from two different readings that had nothing to do with the case we were on, I took that quite serious. Now, knowing there's reptilians just down the road from me, do we get cut off again?
No, you keep going.
Okay, I see you typing. Okay, yeah, so knowing there's reptilians on that mountain, yeah, I know I'm being watched. We have an agreement. And there's an agreement in place that I won't mess with them, and they won't mess with me. Now, if it comes to a case where reptilians are messing around, then I will get involved. But as far as just an understanding, I won't go on Sauk Mountain. They will not come down here. Now,
well,
2 nights ago...
Let me cut you off there for a second.
Okay.
How did you create this agreement?
It wasn't physically. I'll say that. I'm not sure.
You just know.
I really ain't. Right. Pretty much.
Was it almost like telepathic?
It was, but it's not, okay, when I get information, it's not like a voice in my head or nothing like that. It's just information that comes to my mind, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And with my past issues with reptilians, yeah, I could see where we have an agreement. Okay, going back to, I guess, early 90s, before the abduction stuff even happened, a whole different medium in Mount Vernon, actually, I think it was, told me, and I think it's cool as hell that you have on your show these different mediums that come up, and I never thought before that you could be an alien in your past life. Now that actually never crossed my mind, but back in the early 90s, I was actually told that I was a gray nurse at one point.
Really?
And that would be the taller species. And so ordinarily I kind of look at that and go, huh, okay, whatever. But again, information that comes to me when it matches up with something I've been through and it makes sense, I can kind of agree with. Because when I encountered the reptilian in Atlanta, I believe I've told you before, there was a high-pitched electronic humming that came into my head. And I just knew that was the Greys. And the reptilians backed the hell off. My headache went away. My nausea went away. The praying mantises on my doorstep went away. Everything was gone. Instantaneously. Like they had backed off. Now, if you look at conspiracy theories, you'll see a lot of stories that the reptilians and the Greys eons ago were enemy species. So on that, if you look at that note, that makes sense. So, yeah, again, like I said before, conspiracy theories I'll take as puzzles. If they match up with what you know to be true through experience, and if a whole bunch of different theories match up, that's what I'd warn is true. Make sense?
It does. I just want to say something on this. We have a lot of people right now who are scrambling. Their audio seems to be going a little wacky on Spreaker right now, and a lot of people are messaging that there is some issues with it right now. And what I'm going to say is, if you can hear this, try and refresh and see if that works, because it's weird that we start talking about all this. We talked about, what we were talking about earlier. You got cut off the phone line, and now we're having some Spreaker issues. That's kind of interesting to me.
Every time we talk about reptilians.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they're in my backyard, so I've no really not doesn't surprise me. It kind of irritates me, but it doesn't surprise me none. Because like I said just 2 nights ago, our new medium was talking to one of our new members that we're helping out, and when she talked to him, it was all nice and quiet. And when she talked to me, there was like a interference. Not interference, but what she saw was a humanoid. And I asked her point blank, did it look like a reptile? And she said yes. That's how I know I'm being watched. Do I worry about it? Not really. Because I'm safe where I'm at. My property is heavily shielded. It's heavily guarded. It's heavily protected. So I don't worry about it. If I worried about it, I'd be losing sleep. I do lose sleep, but it's for other reasons. It has nothing to do with the reptilian.
Right. No, and I understand that, Eric. And it's one of those things. You know what? We're going to hop out for a break here right now at the bottom of the hour. When we come back, let's get into some paranormal talk, because we need to get into some ghosts. We're going to get into more questions from the listeners that are on the chat rooms right now, and we'll get into more details of Forest Moon Paranormal. Our guest tonight is Eric Cooper. I'm your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back after this break.
Have you ever had an extraterrestrial experience? One you just couldn't explain? Well, maybe I can help. Hello, I am Samantha Mullet. On the second Tuesday of each month, I will join Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio to bring a human aspect to ET contact. It's something I've lived with my entire life, and I'd love to help you understand. Let's share our experiences. The ET Experience, the second Tuesday of each month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Fairies? Bigfoot? Dogmen? Trolls? Goblins? Hey, if it's cryptid in any way, I'm looking into it. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, also known as Spaced Out Radio's Crypto Guru. Join me every second Wednesday of the month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will talk about the stories people call tall tales. I will fill you in on the latest sightings and the hidden histories that are causing quite a stir. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
Would you like to expand your clientele? Have you ever thought of online radio advertising? Check out spacedoutradio.com to get your name out there. Our listeners support those who advertise with us, so why not give it a try? We have the most competitive advertising prices out there. Just click on the advertising tab on spacedoutradio.com and contact us today.
Are you an ET experiencer, but you just don't know what's going on? Are you too timid or shy to discuss it with anyone? Maybe I can help. Join me, R. Keith Andrews, the first Friday of every month on Spaced Out Radio, and I will help you to find the answers you're looking for. Together, I will help you understand the off-worlders and the true meanings behind your experiences. All you have to do is join us in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. See you there.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up, enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Do you have a topic or a guest that you'd like to hear on Spaced Out Radio? Let us know at spacedoutradio.com, where you can sign up to become a Space Traveler member today. Or you can find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on our Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio Show. Welcome back to the Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Finally figured out why my carport is being invaded by frogs. The crickets have moved into my wood pile. My wood pile is currently surrounded by frogs. It's actually kind of cool. Little tree frogs everywhere. I think it's kind of neat. Hey, thanks so much if you're listening in on the SHR Media Network. If you're on Paranormal Forum, tuning in tonight in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, as well as on Facebook at Euphoria Chronicles, as well as the SOR Space Travelers, our flagship chat room for this show. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Really appreciate it. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like. Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. Tomorrow night on the show, Eugene Braxton will join us. We're going to talk everything from ETs to NDEs to OBEs. Yes, it's real alphabet soup tomorrow night with Eugene Braxton on the show. Tonight we are talking paranormal with Forest Moon Paranormal's Eric Cooper. Eric, I want to get into this right off the bat, give you a little bit of publicity. You have your first Forest Moon Paracon coming up in Concrete, Washington in October 22nd, 23rd. and you've graciously asked me to be one of the speakers of your paranormal group. I would love it if you took a couple of minutes here to explain to our listeners where it's going to be, where Concrete Washington is, and what's going on that weekend.
Okay, it's going to take more than a couple of minutes, but yeah, it's the first annual Forest Moon Paracon. I hate, over the years of doing research and investigation and whatnot, I've always seen all these Paracons, and I've always, oh my God, I got to go, but they want $100 a ticket. This is completely free. The only, bring your money, we're going to have vendors, and we're going to have a $20 ticket a night for the VIP roundtable that Saturday night. Other than that, the lectures, the speakers, everything is free. And that's one of the big differences. Now, I have many goals with this. We have 9 speakers, and they cover the whole spectrum of the paranormal. We have Christina George from Paranormal Connections. She's going into, actually, the similarities of all paranormal fields. That is her topic, Paranormal Connections. We have Sandy and Russ Wells. They're authors and founders of Fog Paranormal. They're actually the mediums we use in Forest Moon Paranormal here on local cases. They're going to be talking about the dangers of the paranormal and the tools of the paranormal. What kind of tools you use in an investigation. Then we have Joe Teeples. He's an author. He's local to Washington State. He wrote Ghostology 101. He's going to be telling ghost stories that Saturday night, just prior to the roundtable. And he's going to be doing a lecture on Investigation 101. We have Selena Roan. She comes from California. Christina George comes from California. Selena Roan comes from Texas. She's the founder of Fear Paranormal. She'll be talking about her personal experiences and doppelgangers. We have Derek Tyler. He's an author. His books are just being released. He's an alien abductee. He'll be discussing Mill Labs and his personal experiences and theories. We have Tyler Allen Standing Bear right here in the North Cascades from the North Cascades Bigfoot Research. You can look him up on Facebook, actually. And he goes out. He's our cryptozoologist in Forest Moon. Has his own group as well. And he goes out every weekend and actually intermingles with Bigfoot. He has, I guess you could say, a family. But with him, there's been a change. Within the last couple of weeks, he sent me some recordings. They're very guerrilla-sounding. And the 2 that ran through his camp were a different group. And he told me that was the first time he's ever been nervous, actually mingling with Bigfoot, because he's done this for like 3-4 years, if not longer. We have Ashad. He's our demonologist and entity specialist. He'll be discussing various entity types and the worst ones he's encountered. We have Raven Christina Corvus, the founder of White Noise Paranormal right here in Washington. She's going to discuss psychology in the paranormal and case management. And, of course, we got Dave Scott, multiple experiencer and owner of Spaced Out Radio. His topic's going to be experiencers and airing Spaced Out Radio right from our site. It's free to the public with the exception of the VIP roundtable. The second day, we'll actually be pulling 40 names from a hat. It's a free drawing, and we'll be actually doing a paranormal investigation at an undisclosed site. So you'll basically take what you learn if you don't know anything and go on an investigation and practice what you've learned. That's one of the goals, and that's one thing is to get the public out here, teach them about the paranormal, show them that it really exists, educate them for free. And my other goal is to pull other groups in, form a network, and get everybody on the same sheet. Because I've told you before at other shows, I approached, and I know it's a low number, but I've approached at least 1,000 paranormal groups and organizations. And I'd say out of 1,000,
and I think we lost Eric again. This time, our Skype call quit. They really don't want us to have him on the air tonight. This is very strange. We're calling him back.
I got you.
Apparently, people don't want to hear you on the air tonight.
Anyway, I'd say out of 1,000 of those groups, because I'll just go right on, probably about 50 of them knew anything about UFOs and alien abduction in that field. Most of them were all about hauntings and paranormals. We need to change that. We need to get more groups into the whole spectrum.
Mm-hmm. I like the fact, Eric, that, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't spoken at a conference before. This is going to be very new to me, and I'm actually quite excited about having the invitation to come down there and be in a part of your first annual Paracon down in Concrete, Washington. And I hope that it goes well. I hope the audience actually cares, because we want to make sure that it goes smoothly. And we're going to be running nights in October where we have every guest on from the Forest Moon Paracon, and we'll be coming on this show as well to discuss the conference, because we're going to do that for you guys in regards to it and the experiences that people are having there, and that's in October. So we'll be running about 3 weeks previous to that. One thing that I do want to get into with you, Eric, when it comes to the paranormal, as we discussed earlier in the show, you deal with experiences, you deal with the people who are directly affected by these hauntings, by these weird energies. About how many cases do you guys take on a year?
A year? That'd be a hard... oh, God. I'd say, and it's probably low, easily 100, just because of the astral team. Physically, maybe 10. One is getting the word out that we're here, which is hard to do. It really is. But yeah, I'd say easily 100, and that may be high, that may be low. But I don't track everything the astral team does, because a lot of times they take cases on their own and they go just to get it handled.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when it comes to the astral team, that's where our numbers are.
Mm-hmm. When you decide to take on a case and you say you have a questionnaire that has to be filled out, at what point do you decide that this is something that you need to take on? And you travel for this. So it doesn't matter if you're in Washington State, British Columbia, in Oregon, over in Idaho. If somebody needs your help, you're gone.
Right. At what point, let's see. The priorities obviously are children. Children are the number one priority. If we have a child case, we're gone. The other one is if there's physical endangerment. If they're getting scratches while they're sleeping, if there's things thrown at them, that kind of thing. A lot of times, if they're not out of this area, I'll send the astral team.
How does the astral team work in those situations?
Okay, I'll get... Facebook is our main platform. We don't have a website. Everything is through Facebook. Most of our clients come from Facebook. So first I'll talk to the client on Facebook in a private message. I'll get details, find out where they're at, find out what's going on. I'll contact my astral lead. Now that I have a QRF, if my astral lead doesn't respond, it's going straight to a shot. I've got his phone number. And I've been instructed, when it comes to extreme cases, call them, doesn't matter what time it is. And now lately we've been using Skype video. That's kind of new to us too. Skype's actually been fairly new to me, other than doing interviews here and there. So I'll talk to the client, usually on Facebook. I'll do a group chat on Facebook with the client and whoever's taking the case astrally. They'll get a link on them. They'll get an energy lock on them, and we'll go from there. Now, we have a current case in Australia that it does involve a child we can't really get involved with because it's the grandmother that contacted us. It's the dad. The dad doesn't believe in the paranormal, thinks anyone who believes in the paranormal is a nut job. So what do? The child's the one affected by that. So we kind of have our hands are kind of tied. I'd love to send the team in and handle it, but your hands are tied because I won't overstep bounds. You have legal issues there as well if anything does happen. So you do come across situations like that.
Mm-hmm. Do you deal with everything from just regular hauntings, or do you prefer to get into the more darker side of things, Eric, when it comes to demons or poltergeists?
Any of them. It really doesn't matter. I'd say, honestly, we've only had maybe 2 cases of anything demon. All the rest were just restless and pissed off spirits.
How do you tell the difference?
I'm thinking. Energy, I reckon, is the biggest one. The energy the entity exudes. Because I haven't encountered a demon physically. It's more of the astral team that's encountered them. I actually do know witches that work with demons. That's why, honestly, I not all demons are bad. There's good and bad. There's good and bad in everything. Whether it's a demon, whether it's an entity, whether it's a spirit, there's good and bad. And like we discussed earlier, even with alien species, there's good or bad.
Mm-hmm. And that makes sense to me in regards to it. But are you only dealing with the more difficult cases, or are you dealing with, say, the single mom who has 2 children, but she has to live on the wrong side of the tracks because that's what she can afford to take care of her family, but there's something going on in their house that happens to be spooking the children, even though it may not be doing anything possessive, it may not be opening and closing cupboards, moving chairs, or something along those lines, scratching, clawing, whatever you want to call it. Are you dealing with those cases?
Yeah. If we get contacted, we go. It doesn't matter if it's just a simple haunting or if it's something extreme. Like I said, most of our cases are from out of state. I don't handle a whole lot. In fact, this year, I think we've been contacted 3 times so far.
Right.
And yeah, they've been basic hauntings, nothing extreme. And in those, most of the time, they show themselves just with EVP energy. That's the big one. I actually had one case where I got nauseous. That just pissed me off. It didn't make me scared. And like we've discussed before, having served combat 4 times, not much scares me. And I know Glenn can speak to that too. Glenn and I talk all the time from Chronicles. And that's a new move. Is Forest Moon is joining up with Chronicles on cases now.
Yeah.
When they need help.
And I think that's a good call because, I mean, we all hear this call and this plight for paranormal unity, and yet there's so many radicalizations and radical theories and groups out there, I don't think it'll ever happen. But when you can tie yourself into quality people, you have to take advantage of that, don't you?
Exactly, and all these groups they claim para-unity, but when it comes right down to the nuts and bolts, no, they don't. They want fame and glory. That's all they're about. They're about fame and glory, and to hell with a client. Mm-hmm. I've seen it. So, yeah, finding good quality groups to network with is hard. It's happening, but it's hard.
I want to know about the good demons, and this is going to follow up Gail's question in the SOR Space Travelers. I never thought of a demon being good. How the hell can a demon be good?
Okay. There's some pagans out there that the demons are actually their spirit guides. And that's going to make a lot of people shake their heads. But where are you getting your facts from? A lot of people get their facts from their religious beliefs, and that I'm not knocking that. That's all fine and good. But if you interact with a demon, you'll learn a lot more. Like I said, I know pagans that actually there's actually groups out there with pagans that do work with demons. Demons are like any other entity. There's good, there's bad. Some are there as guides. They act as spirit guides. And I'm trying to think how to say it. I actually know one witch that her demon has been with her since childhood. Never harmed her, only guided. That's why I know there's good and bad demons out there.
Eric, what's the strangest case you've ever worked?
Strangest case I've ever worked. Let's see here. I don't know. They're all strange. I think my UFO sightings are the strangest. I'm boring.
Well, I mean, there has to be something out there that just didn't sit right with you, or it just makes you scratch your head and say, that one I don't get. You haven't seen everything.
Probably Burlington Hill. No, I haven't seen anything by everything by any means. But yeah, no, they're like I say, they're few and far between. Burlington Hill, because there was theory that back in the 30s and 40s, Burlington Hill is here in Skagit County, and back in the 30s and 40s, and this was an actual family legend that was known throughout the county. My mom actually told me this legend that getting pregnant out of wedlock back then was very frowned upon. They take their babies out, or they give birth, and they take the babies up to a pond, and they throw them in a pond up on Burlington Hill. And we actually went up there, and not sure if we found the pond. I think we did, because it was actually a volcanic vent, and there was a trailer buried in this volcanic vent in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, just the energy and being followed. You could sense being followed by spirits up there, and took our mediums up there with us. And yeah, that would be one of the strangest, just because based on legend and actually seeing the energy up there. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Galen has a question for you in the SOR Space Travelers. Eric, have you ever met a demon face to face?
No, I've not.
But you've dealt with them?
I have not dealt with them. No, I said the astral team does that. The astral team's dealt with them. But I know... No, what I said was I know pagans that work with them that I talk to all the time.
What's it like getting involved with that?
At first I was uncomfortable, honestly, because you hear about demons being nothing but dark and nothing but evil. But after talking with witches that work with demons on a nonstop basis, that the demons are around them all the time, you get more comfortable with it.
That is something I can't see myself getting comfortable with. I'm not going to lie, Eric.
I understand.
You know, I mean, I've seen a lot of crap. Over the last 4 years, I've seen a lot of things that have really scratched my head. You know, I'm not intimidated by Bigfoot. I'm not intimidated by extraterrestrials, unless they're appearing outside my window as I'm broadcasting. That's kind of freaky.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Okay, spirits don't scare me. But a couple of things I have not experienced, and I really hope I don't. Okay, I've never had a near-death experience or an out-of-body experience. That would freak me out. Number two, I've never been in a house where I've seen things move. Okay?
Okay.
You know, chairs or cupboards opening or laundry machines turning on, or you know what I'm saying. Poltergeist activity. I never want to see that. Right. I never want to deal with anything demonic, good or bad, because it just doesn't sit well with me. And I would say, out of all the experiences I've had, you know, not to bring myself into this, but I would say most people are like me. They don't want to deal with this. It's scary. It's a scary world out there. Everything is bad. You know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so how do you, I mean, as someone who has dealt with this for 20 plus years like you, I mean, you're a military veteran. As you said, nothing really scares you anymore because you've pretty much looked death in the eyes and you've told it to piss off, to be blunt about it. When
Right.
when you're going into these situations and it's something that you haven't encountered before, or it's something that you have encountered but the people you're dealing with haven't encountered before, how do you stay rational? How do you stay calm? How do you keep the focus on going in there in that situation? Because I know, I'll tell you right now, my TV gets turned on and little SOR gets sucked into that TV, I'm moving the hell out of my house. You know, I'm not, because it's always the white guy who sticks around. You notice that. You know, but not this guy. Not this guy. I am moving the hell out.
And I fully understand. Okay, like I said, I haven't encountered anything that's completely terrified me yet. Will that day come? It might. I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying what I have encountered and dealt with has not. But not saying that day might not happen. Hell, even Glenn talks about his team getting beat up sometimes.
I was actually there the day before when Glenn got rocked at the museum by Mandy the Haunted Doll. That was kind of interesting. And I looked that doll right in the eye. I still have a picture of that doll on my phone. And you know what? That doll just gives me the heebie-jeebies. I'm not going to lie. I am not going to lie. That doll gives me the heebie-jeebies in regards to that. Hey, we're going to step out for our break here at the top of the hour, Eric. We're going to get more into the paranormal, more into UFOs. We're also going to talk a little bit of Bigfoot. Everything paranormal from Forest Moon Paranormal's Eric Cooper tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to step out for a break. When we come back, more action on the mighty SOR.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Is the 24-hour world starting to wear you down? Let me from Rivulet Reiki and Readings lend you a hand. Hi, this is Jolene, and if you're in need of Reiki or a realm reading, come to my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr&r, and let us help you out. At Rivulet, I specialize in healing your body, mind, and soul, no matter where you are. And be sure to check out the Rivulet R&R Facebook page for your best deals. Remember, it's time for you to make some time for you.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us on Spaced Out Radio? Head to spacedoutradio.com to check out the latest shows, guests, and sponsors. And don't forget to sign up for the Space Travelers Club. You'll find all you need at spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back for the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning in with us, especially if you're listening in on the SHR Media Network, over in Paranormal Forum Land online, and on the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, along with Euphoria Chronicles on Facebook, and our flagship chat room on Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers. Good to have you with us tonight. Absolutely a pleasure to broadcast you live 7 days a week here on the mighty SOR. Our website is getting redone once again, so that way we can include the Space Travelers Club. We couldn't do it on our previous format, so that's why we're changing everything over. That's a job for Mrs. Spaced Out Radio. Tomorrow night on the show, Eugene Braxton will be with us. We're going to be talking everything from extraterrestrials to near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences. Those freak me out. But we're going to get into it tomorrow night with Eugene Braxton. Tonight we are talking paranormal. Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal is with us. Eric, we bring you back in.
All right.
Good to have you with us tonight. Always a pleasure to have you with us.
It is.
There's some heated debate going on about this good demon thing, man. You struck a chord. I'm not going to lie. You've struck a chord. The chatters are going off on this. And you know what? I gotta admit, it's hard for me to fathom good demons. You know, I don't look at anything that's good as being demonic. Demonic is, to me, is a negative connotation. But you know what? I haven't experienced it, so I do not know.
Okay, let me ask you this, or let me ask the audience this. Where did the bad connotation come from? Most of the bad connotation, and yeah, like I said, I was raised Christian. I know all about Christianity. I never fit into Christianity. I would take my I'd change my clothes. I'd be up in the woods. I'd be grounding. I'd be following the animals. I would be working with herbs, stones. I was pagan. As pagans, we deal with what most people see as the paranormal on a routine basis. Spirits are a part of paganism. Demons can be a part of paganism. Like I was saying earlier, there are pagans that work with demons. There's good and bad, and there's good humans, bad humans. Everything there's good and bad.
I can understand the yin and the yang of everything. I get that, but would that be then considered a pagan religious idealism then, rather than say the Christian side, where if it's good, it's of God; if it's bad, it's of the devil.
Right. Exactly. Now we believe in shadow, where you combine light and dark. You can't have balance without light and dark, which a lot of pagans believe in God and goddess, because you can't have one without the other. There's balance in everything. So there's got to be balance. Can you just work with demons? No, you can't. Some think you can. I'm shifting here. But no, like you said, yin and yang, there's good and bad. You can't work with all demons, obviously. There's some that are selected as spirit guides. and that's where the good ones come from.
Mm-hmm. I understand that.
I figured there'd be I figured it'd blow up, but that's just our belief.
And I think that's fair. Gail has a question for you in the SOR Space Travelers. Eric, having been raised as a Christian and now become a pagan, have you given up belief in heaven and hell?
Yes, I have. I don't believe in heaven or hell. I believe in reincarnation. I believe once you've achieved a certain point, you have the choice of whether you come back or not. Basically, and I've learned this from spirits. I've learned this from spirit guides. Basically, once you die, you have the choice of either roaming. In some cases, I mean, in a lot of cases, spirits are stuck here, and they're earthbound spirits, and they're the ones that need the help. They're the ones that cause the hauntings. Sometimes, though, like the spirit I talked to in Germany, he wanted to be there. He was terrified of the spirit that was in the house at Dettelbach, but he described going to the bakery and messing with the bakery people. Basically, you have a choice, and there's going to be debate. There's going to be a lot of argument about it, but this is just what I've learned through my experience. In that, basically, you go when you're ready to be reborn. You go get in a line. When a baby is about to be born, a spirit occupies that soul. That's how you're reborn. So, yeah, heaven and hell. No, I believe in reincarnation. I believe eventually, personally, if you want to call it a heaven, I believe in Valhalla.
There are extraterrestrial species out there, according to deceased author Philip Kraft, who say that they have found heaven in the sky.
Okay.
What would be your take on that?
I don't know. Is it a physical place?
Yes.
Okay. Then I don't know. It's not part of my experience. I'd have to go back and listen to that show, though.
Oh, I wish I had him on the air. He died a couple years before I started.
Oh shit! Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry.
You know what? I'll get his book. He was actually editor of the LA Times for 32 years, and then after he retired at 63 years old, he got taken.
Okay,
And
post a link to that book.
I will. I'm trying to find it right now.
Good,
because I am a
I can be
multitasker. I am a multitasker. Right. You know, and the one thing that I try and do on this show, Eric, is this, and I always like to repeat this for my audience when things get a little heated in the chat rooms. Okay? Mm-hmm. The one thing that we do with Spaced Out Radio is we always believe the guest. Now, a lot of people may not like that. A lot of people may say that we're not towing the line of journalism, but we do ask some pretty tough questions. You've heard the questions. Other people have heard the questions that we ask. But here's the thing that I want people to remember. You've never stepped in the guest's shoes. You've never seen what they've seen. The only thing that, it doesn't matter whether you have an expert guest coming on about Bigfoot or you have an expert guest coming on talking about what Eric was talking about. And the one thing I want to remind you is, because you haven't stepped in his shoes and experienced what he has experienced, it doesn't mean that because his opinion differs from yours or my opinion differs from his, that he's wrong. If we continually tell people that they're wrong because it differs from our opinion, then we're never going to solve what we are wanting to solve in the paranormal being spirits, UFOs, ETs, cryptids, everything in between. Okay, we're never going to solve what this is going on. So that's why we try and be informative. We try and open up a forum for people to talk, and that's what we're doing. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's my comment for it. But I do want to get into Bigfoot, because you live in the Pacific Northwest like I do, where the big hairy hominid is walking around, and I'm a firm believer that Bigfoot allows you to see him. And that's why we have so few quality Bigfoot sightings out there, even though there seems to be a lot. What's the action of Bigfoot when it comes to Forest Moon Paranormal? And we seem to have lost Eric again on the phone line. We're going to call him back. We need like a Jeopardy theme song here.
Somebody doesn't like us talking.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to get into there, I just sometimes I feel like I just got to go on a rant.
Okay.
And that's a beautiful part when you have control of the microphone. But I want to get into Bigfoot with you, Eric, because here in the Pacific Northwest, there are sightings everywhere. What is Forest Moon's take with Bigfoot?
Oh, we love Bigfoot. Like I said, I've got Tyler. He goes out every weekend and deals with Bigfoot, and he's got some stories. My personal take, I believe, like we've talked before, Bigfoot's an interdimensional being. I was deer hunting last fall. Went up on the mountain behind my house, and there was 3 of us, and we were walking down a trail, and about 30 feet in front of us, and I've been asked, was it a woodpecker? No, it sure the hell wasn't a woodpecker. It was like a tree knock, like what you hear on Bigfoot recordings, an actual tree knock. And there was nothing visible. And it was odd. It sent chills down your spine. It did. Because I've never heard that before. That was my first encounter with anything Bigfoot. And we walked over to it, and again, there was nothing there. We turned around and walked back to where we originally were, and it started up again. So yeah, I believe they can shapeshift. I do believe they can mask themselves, which leads me to believe they're interdimensional. Now, Tyler, like I said, you need to have him on the show for sure. He goes out by Baker, which you can see Baker from your house. We're on the south side of Baker, but
not anymore. I can't.
You can't. What happened?
Well, because I'm like 5.5 hours north, and I got a bunch of mountains in between. But I tell you, I had the $1 million view if Mount Baker ever blew.
Ah, okay, I got you. Yeah, we got Mount Baker between us. We definitely have the $1 million view too. Let's hope it doesn't happen. But yeah, no, we got Bigfoot all around up here, and that's what's cool about having the Paracon and concrete. We have hauntings, we have UFO sightings, we have Bigfoot, we have everything up here. So it's a perfect spot for it because hopefully Paracon goers will see something. So that's my take on Bigfoot. Where do you want to go with it?
Well, I mean, in your area, there are sightings. Let's be honest with you. Washington State is famous for sightings, all the way down to California, all the way up north in British Columbia. You know, the Bigfoot that we seem to be dealing with is more of a passive creature. It's more of a creature that stays hidden in the shadows. It's not like the ones that are seen in Louisiana, where it seems a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more uptight, if I can use that term loosely.
Right.
Okay. How many sightings are you dealing with Bigfoot when it comes to Forest Moon Paranormal on a yearly basis?
On a yearly basis, I mean, I can't really track that because, I mean, Tyler goes up and deals with them all the time. We don't have other people that come up and say, now, if you were to post it in concrete, oh my God, you'd have a ton of people that said, you know, they've seen Bigfoot. Bigfoot's known up here. They actually do log carvings of Bigfoot. Bigfoot's famous up in this area. I'd say Darrington, which is about southeast of us, actually has trails that you can follow where you can actually see Bigfoot as well. I haven't gone up and checked it out, but from what I hear, that's another area you can go to. Now, I have been looking into the case that we were discussing at the round table about Bigfoot at Mount St. Helens, and I haven't heard back from my Ranger Park buddy, But there is a movie coming out in October. And I believe the director-producer is coming here to talk to Tyler for the movie.
Is that Christopher Garantano?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, we've had him on this show when he did his Montauk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, from Montauk Productions.
Yes.
Yeah, same guy then.
Do you get a lot of Bigfoot sightings in your area?
Yes, we do. I can say that with certainty just because of I run a concrete upriver group as well for the community, just on basic community news. And there's people that post when I've asked about Bigfoot, oh, you need to talk to so-and-so. Oh, you need to talk to so-and-so. So, yeah, I know there's Bigfoot sightings up here all the time.
What are people seeing up in your area?
More of a gorilla Sasquatch, or not Sasquatch, more like a gorilla look. Bipedal, walks on two legs, just like you see, if they see them. Most of it's going to be your tree knocks. And like I said, with Tyler's recording, it sounds more like a gorilla. And those are either two new ones that came down off the mountain and have never encountered humans before, possibly. That's kind of what we're speculating on with them. I think he's going back up this weekend since it's going to be nice. And then I'll be able to get more recordings from him, and I'll post them as well. But it's mostly the tree knockings and rocks thrown and things of that nature.
I've never had rocks thrown. I don't know how I would react to that. I do know Corey, our booking coordinator, has had rocks thrown at her trailer while she's been camping. And I know that up here, up in the north, there is Bigfoot activity up here. We got to push that right through. And, you know, it's one of those things that when it comes to Bigfoot, I'm a firm believer, man. And you know what? I have tackled people on this show in regards to they want to just see the scientific side. I'm just not convinced, and maybe it's my own personal experience, but I'm just not convinced that Bigfoot is strictly a hominid walking around the woods, you know, or Nephilim or the missing link. I think there is something special to it. In Forrest Moon's experiences in researching Bigfoot, what would be the take on what this creature is?
Interdimensional. I've actually researched cases over the years of UFO being seen outside landed spacecraft. They got out of the landed craft. They took soil and water samples from creeks and went back into the spacecraft. I have no doubt that there's a possibility they work with aliens in some cases. So, firm believer that they are interdimensional, not just a gorilla creature or animal.
And what gives you the thinking right now that Bigfoot is interdimensional?
Well, let's see. Basically, because like I said last fall when we went up, there was nothing there, but it continued. If it's interdimensional, it's going to be able to disappear from your sight, and it's going to be able to shift away from you. And we turned around. We all three knew something was there, and when we got back to the same place, we were about to give up, and it started knocking again. And it was a clear shot. We should have been able to see it. And there was nothing there.
When it comes to Bigfoot, are you delving more into the First Nations side of it, or are you delving more into what I like to call the Caucasian Christian Science background of it?
More of the First Nation.
Do you believe then that we should be paying more attention to what the First Nations believe in regards to it?
I do, because they've been dealing with it a whole lot longer than the Caucasian Christians have.
Absolutely. And when I call it Caucasian Christian Science, let me explain that for a minute, because I don't need Bibles being thrown at me or anything like that. Okay?
No.
And I'm being sarcastic here because I have my own beliefs. I don't push them on anybody. Okay? But when I say that, a lot of Bigfoot researchers believe we are looking for either a Nephilim, a great ape, or something that is the missing link between Darwin's theory of evolution and mankind today. There's also the side that believes that there is something special with Bigfoot. By the way, Lisa made a comment in the SOR Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker that said, what is Bigfoot? An animal, right? They work with aliens. No, actually, from the experiences that I have heard on this show and people in the know when it comes to the supernatural, when it comes to Bigfoot, Bigfoot is scared shitless of UFOs. We had one report a year ago where these campers and Bigfoot hunters knew that there was Bigfoot around their campsite. They could hear them. They could hear them talking to one another. It was freaky. And then all of a sudden, they got the hell out of Dodge. Bigfoot is sneaky. And these big creatures ran. Within 5 minutes of these Bigfoot taking off, there was a UFO over top of the campsite, beaming its lights around the area where they were camping. So, no, I do not believe that they are very buddy-buddy with extraterrestrials. Could they have come from an extraterrestrial planet? Absolutely. That might be the reason why First Nations believe that Bigfoot is interdimensional. Right? Eric has a question for you in Paranormal Forum.
Okay.
Have you ever encountered the artist Harvey Pratt and his forensic drawings of Bigfoot?
I haven't seen those, no. I'd like to.
Yeah, I would too. I think that was it. Bill is asking, Eric, you said that Bigfoot was an interdimensional being. Does that mean you believe that Bigfoot is not of this earth?
I've got a theory that we are in a zoo of sorts. If you look at all the unearthly creatures, you got Chupacabra, you've got, I'll throw Mothman in there, you've got the Jersey Devil, you've got a whole myriad of these creatures that nobody knows where they come from or what they are. Who's to say we're not in a zoo that's planted by the aliens?
True.
One species or another. So, yeah, is he from the Earth? I don't know. Interdimensional? Yeah, he can shift dimensions. That's my point. It doesn't mean he's from another planet necessarily.
What makes you believe personally they're interdimensional?
Basically just because the way you don't find bodies, you don't find skeleton. If there's so many Bigfoot that are here, where are their bodies at? It's hard to get proof. Tyler's got a whole bunch of foot castings. You've got foot castings. You've got audio. They're hard to take pictures of because we've discussed this numerous times. Things will only come up on camera most of the time if they want you to see them. I do believe that's the case with Bigfoot as well. I'm curious what comes up with this documentary that comes out in October. I saw the trailer for it. Looks interesting, but I didn't see any Bigfoot, video or pictures or anything of that nature yet. But that's only the trailer for it.
We got about 2 minutes before we go to break. I want to continue on the Bigfoot side here in regards to it. When you guys have a call come in about Bigfoot, wherever it is, I know you have your Bigfoot guy who goes out and researches it. Do you send a full team or do you just send the one Bigfoot expert out there?
Just the one Bigfoot expert. Consider me, I'm the founder of Forest Boone Paranormal. I'm more the case manager. I have my teams. When a case comes in, I'll send the experts out. They're the best ones to deal with whatever that particular case is.
So do you go out on your own as well?
Say again?
Do you go out with them as well, or do you kind of sit back?
I haven't yet. I plan on it on one of his little trips that he goes on the weekends, definitely. I just haven't had the chance to go up there yet.
I want to go with you, man. I have to have another Bigfoot experience. It's one of those things.
By all means, come down.
Well, I gotta find time, man. That's my whole. I want to do all this shit, and I can't even do anything because I have no time.
And that's one reason. Let me explain something real quick. I have a 7-acre farm. I have a 4 and a 5-year-old, and I'm on Facebook most of the day just dealing with paranormal whatever. So, no, I don't have a lot of time to jump out. And again, like I said, we don't get a whole lot of cases here. The word needs to get out that we're here, and by all means, if we had a case here, I'd be gone. I'm also with Search and Rescue. We don't get a whole lot of call-outs, but I am with Search and Rescue for Mountain Rescue up here. Without Mountain Rescue, it's a different team. We go out when people get lost. We run the roads. So when I get those call-outs, like when we had the protest, last month, and we were pulling security on the 911 call center, that takes my time. So, yeah, when it comes to just going up in the mountains and looking around, I don't get a chance to do that a whole lot.
We have to be able to do it. We're going to hop out for a break here at the bottom of the hour, and when we come back, more from Eric Cooper on Forest Moon Paranormal. You're listening to Space Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio?
Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us.
From the radio, commercials, to banners, to social media.
Have a product you'd like our host to endorse? We can do that too.
Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
The last Monday of the month on Spaced Out Radio is a night of psychic vision, mediumship, UFO and ET contact, Bigfoot stories, animal communication, and so much more with me, Elizabeth Anglin. I'd love it if you would join host Dave Scott and I on the myriad of topics we delve into. Every month, we share new views that may help you understand your own experiences. So tune on in at spacedoutradio.com and stamp your cosmic passport.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Missed most of tonight's show? Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. You can head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and download our archives for free. And don't forget to get your Space Travelers membership today. Now, back to tonight's show. Welcome back to the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening in on the SHR Media Network, on Paranormal Forum tonight, just like Mafu, Eric, Grinchesboro. If you're in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, like Izzy, Lisa, Cleopatra, Chris, always good to have you with us. And, of course, the regulars, Joe, Gloria, Gail, Bruce, Mike, Bill, Joe. Love having you on. If you're in the Spaced Out Radio chat room, the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook, appreciate you being with us as you are every night. And those listening in at Euphoria Chronicles, always a pleasure for you guys to be with us. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show. That's where we store our archives. And our website, being revamped once again, adding a little bit more flavor of Bumblefoot in there, is spacedoutradio.com. Tomorrow night on the show, Eugene Braxton will join us. We're going to be talking NDEs, ETs, OBEs, and whatever else and acronyms we can throw in there as well. We look forward to having Eugene on the show tomorrow night. We're going to go into Forest Moon Paranormal's Eric Cooper for the final time tonight. Eric, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me on.
You know what? I love talking stories, Eric, because the experience is what it's all about. You deal with people on a daily basis when it comes to the experience. You're putting together your first Paracon. You deal with everything from dimensional beings to ETs to UFOs to Bigfoot to the paranormal side of ghost spirits, everything involved. Is it becoming old hat? Do you ever get bored of it?
Oh, no. I can't. I really can't. Because every day is a new adventure. Like I always say, every night I say, tomorrow's going to be another adventure. And you know what? I've got a hell of a ton of emails I still have to go through. I'm bad about getting an email and filing it. And I need to go through old emails because I know I got contacted from a guy in, I want to say he was in Puyallup. He had pictures of an alien that actually looked in his window, much like what you went through on the show. And, yeah, I want to see those pictures. I'm going to be looking up old cases and getting in contact with those people. Now, what we do in Forest Moon as well, once I hear from the client that everything is calmed down, everything's cool, the astral team's done their job, and we're all good, we do a follow-up 2 weeks later. And we tell them right up front, look, if anything comes back, and let me reiterate, that's why I don't charge. The main reason we don't charge is because if I pay somebody for a service, I expect the service to be done. Being in the paranormal, you might clear out a spirit, you might clear out an entity, you might help an abductee. You cannot guarantee that something else won't come back in. That is not a complete service to me. So why could anybody in the paranormal that is an investigator charge? I don't get it. So yeah, I've got to go back through old emails, old contacts. I'm kind of refiring up Forest Moon Paranormal because, like you said, we've gained a couple of hundred members just in the last couple of weeks, just through promos we're doing. And we've got a new YouTube channel coming up. We're going to be posting news videos. Making videos is a new concept to me, very new. So my intro on there, which will be posted tomorrow, it's as professional as I can get. Kind of tells the basics of Forest Moon Paranormal. But I'm going to start trying to do at least weekly. Would like to do a daily, but at least a weekly update on what's going on. Had a guy contact me that was up at Mount Rainier. I saw a question earlier if I knew of anybody that had been camping and heard mechanical noises under the ground. It's funny you bring up mechanical noises because years ago I had a contact that lived in Colorado by the airport. Now, if you're into conspiracy theory, and I know everybody wants more conspiracy theory, so here you go. Denver Airport. Never been there. I've just seen pictures, and I've talked to people that have been there. And if you look at the pictures on the walls, I think Jesse Ventura actually did a conspiracy theory show there, looking at the underground of it. It's supposed to go to, it's not Mount Weather. It's supposed to go to a mountain. It's hollowed out, and the government's got a base there.
Isn't that Cheyenne Mountain?
There you go, Cheyenne Mountain. Yeah, that's the one. In fact, I've stopped looking at my talking points a long time ago. It was written in there. But I knew a guy that lived in Denver and was woken up by mechanical vibrations under the ground. Was the government building another underground tunnel? I mean, who knows? We have a tunnel boring machine here in Seattle that's building a tunnel, and we've actually gotten to see that on the news. And I could see where if they were using a tunnel boring machine to build a secret compound, it wouldn't be that secret because it makes some tremendous noise and vibration. Now, getting back to Mount Rainier, I was contacted by a guy that had been camping. He was actually pulled backwards out of his tent. And he got away. I mean, obviously he was talking to me, so obviously he did. But was it Bigfoot or was it alien? That would be the question I would ask. Never heard of a Bigfoot that actually attacked others in the South. Like you said earlier, the Bigfoot sightings here are normally docile and friendlier. Now, talking to Tyler, he moved here from the North Cross Pass, which is about 2 hours south of here. It takes about 4 or 5 months of going into Bigfoot's territory before Bigfoot will actually get comfortable enough to come out and play with you. Which, by play, I mean toss a rock at you, make noise, whatever the case is. So, yeah, he's been working up Baker because he moved here to Concrete, and he's been working Baker for about a year now. So, and he's going to take his kid up there because his kids go up there with him. His dog goes up there with him, and it does not hinder Bigfoot showing himself. In fact, Bigfoot's more comfortable coming out when you have kids present.
Well, you know what? Mike Johnson, who was on this show with Edie Kaito back on May 3rd, where he is investigating Bigfoot in Colorado, and he never gives out the place, and I don't blame him. He is actually figured out that it's to the point with him where the Bigfoot have now recognized the sound of his vehicle.
Oh, that's cool.
And the minute that he goes up there and he parks his vehicle, he says it's almost immediate, like I'm talking within 45 minutes to an hour, maybe less, that action around his team starts. But
right.
They've given up. They've also given up on trail cams because nothing ever comes with trail cams. It's for the personal experience now. And Mike has actually had a situation where he has been pretty much almost signaled to walk from their camp 30, 40 feet into the camp, and when it's dark out in the forest, it's black. And he's actually walked in there, and he has been surrounded by Bigfoot, and they have not touched him.
And that shows an intelligent creature. That's not a gorilla. That's not an animal. I mean, okay, you have you hear about, pets. Pets know when your truck's coming up to the driveway, that kind of thing. But if they can block cameras, that's not just an animal. that's a supernatural being that can do that. Because anything in the paranormal that I've noticed can manipulate electronics. You can take... Go ahead.
Absolutely, and I was just going to quickly point out there, Eric Marcoum in the Paranormal Forum, he's saying trail cams emit a sound that Bigfoot can detect. I fully agree with that. Agree with that.
A frequency pitch.
But the thing that can't be explained about that is when Bigfoot is around, how the photographs from these trail cams are either A, blank, B, there is some sort of white orbed light that is shooting through or just sitting there, or C, the batteries, which are always brand new, are immediately drained.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say is you can go into a haunting case. You can go there with a fresh battery, a fresh camera, and within seconds, all of a sudden, you can't take pictures because that battery's dead.
What do you point that to? In your experiences, what do you point the immediate battery draining to?
I don't know if I would call it EMF. EMF might be doing it. Electromagnetic frequency. And switching up real quick, that's another thing. If you're an investigator and you have to look at, if you're using an EMF, look at the age of the house, because old 1950s, old 1970s wiring will emit EMF frequency. They will give you a false reading.
Mm-hmm.
I've had cases where, and that's where the OSHA training comes in handy, is I always look for the mundane first. You walk in, they say the cabinet doors open on their own. Okay, is there a heater vent anywhere within the radius of the cabinet? Is the cabinet crooked? Those are the things you look for.
Eric makes another funny comment in Paranormal Forum. He is saying DC current is the fast food of the paranormal.
I have no doubts about that either.
Absolutely. But you know what? It ties into so much. I mean, when you think of the battery draining, the fact that there never seems to be Bigfoot in the frame, and then you start adding in the fact that there is so much that goes on with blurry pictures.
Right.
And there's actually some theories out there that Bigfoot can actually emit some sort of frequency of his own that actually causes cameras to get, or to go blurry, or videos to go blurry. Now, I don't prescribe to that personally, but it's one of the theories that's out there because everything really is of the unknown.
Indeed.
You know, when it comes to a good ghost story, is Concrete and the area of Washington State you are in very haunted? Because most people look at the East Coast as being the real haunted side and the South being the real haunted side of the United States.
Right. And everyone's got their stories in completely. Now, Concrete is probably the most haunted town in Skagit County. And I'll say Skagit County because every county in Washington claims to have that, that story. But this town has been investigated by Sandy and Russ. They've had fog paranormal long before we did, before we started Forest Moon Up. They've been in this area for, 30, 40 years. And they've investigated every building in this town, which is why it's cool to have it here in Concrete. The town actually has their own ghost walk, which is why we chose October 22nd, 23rd to have our Paracon so we could do it in conjunction with the city. But they've noticed that, the town has one main street, and all the buildings on both sides of that street, they're old 1900s, early 1800s style, and they're all connected. And they'll have one ghost in one building, and they'll go to the other end of the town. The same ghost will be there saying hi, So I mean, are there passages between the stores and whatnot? Probably, possibly from the 1900s. So, yeah. As far as hauntings, most definitely. This town's full of them.
What's your history of what's the history of concrete then that makes it so haunted?
The history of concrete, it was founded in the early 1900s, late 1800s, like I said, and I think if I remember right, the first ones that came up here was for gold rush, because there's actually gold up in the mountains. There's actually gold mines up here. Then the loggers followed, and the roads came with the loggers. Then they built the dams. The concrete's named because there were two concrete plants up here that were established up here. They built the cement for the dams, Diablo, Ross, and Baker. So that's where the city came from. So when you have, heavy industry, you have a lot of death. With a lot of death comes a lot of hauntings. So, yeah, the hauntings trace back to way back in the 1900s.
And you know what? It's pretty much the same going through the Cascade Mountains here in British Columbia, where the mountains, if you've never driven that part, it's so scenic and beautiful. And, when they put the railroad in the 1800s, you have to realize that they were blowing the mountain into the river with dynamite, and a lot of people got killed, either by avalanches, either by the explosions themselves, or being swept away by the Fraser River. And when they're coming through the mountains, there's a lot of death. And it's pretty much the same way, because you're right on the edge of the mountains as well, much like I am.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And, and of course we've got two tribes up here. We've got the Upper Skagit tribe, and we've got the Seattle tribe. So I've actually got a line on three different individuals that have First Nation stories. So I'll be talking to them and find one of them as a 10th speaker. So that would be cool. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear First Nation stories.
They're really the forgotten entity of the paranormal, aren't they? The First Nations.
They are, and I mean, they were the first ones here. Before this continent was established, they were the first ones here. So they could tell you original stories before white men came here.
There are so many stories too, and Derek White Skycloud, who is part of the Chronicles of the Unknown team, him and I have had many a conversation in regards to the paranormal field. And the problem is now, because their stories have been put down and laughed at for so long, it's tough to gain that respect in order to get those stories out. And that's too bad.
Right.
It's difficult. Eric, when it comes to your area and when it comes to everything that is going on, it really is a mixed bag, a Heinz 57 of paranormal. How have you ever looked into the fact that it may have something to do with the fact that there is a trail of volcanoes all the way from Mount Baker straight down to Mount Shasta, and they're almost in a straight line? Do you think the volcanoes have anything to do with it?
The energy, yeah, it's possible. I've actually got a map, and I can post a map later too, of all the ley lines. And I know ley lines can shift, but it's a basic map of the ley lines of the United States. And if you look at a lot of the UFO sightings, they do follow ley lines. Mount Shasta is another unique place. Weed, California. I've been through there. Never did investigations down there. I'd love to go back, but there's UFO sightings and interesting people that come out of the mountains there all the time. A lot of it is centered around volcanic activity, around fault lines, ley lines. I would have no doubt that portals could be opening up there. That's another thing I think is a very plausible with the thousands of people that come up missing in the national forest is possible due to ley lines and portals. Is it reptilians? Probably not. I wouldn't give them that much credit. But yeah, I would say more, I lean more towards a portal theory, because in these cases, they found clothes that were folded neatly. They found weapons where shotguns were actually bent in half. They found weapons that were dismantled in pieces. They're all paranormal missing. It's not like someone just went up in the woods and got lost. So that's another one to look at, is missing 411.
Well, I can say this too. There is also a lot of recorded reports between the 5 or 6 volcanoes along the trail there, Volcano Alley, whatever you want to call it, that has a lot of UFO activity as well. There always seems to be UFOs hovering around, almost like they're trying to refuel on the energy that volcanoes give off or something along those lines.
And that's a good possibility. I mean, going all the way back to the 1940s, it was Mount Rainier that Arnold Palmer saw the 9 flying discs, which coined the term flying disc or flying saucer. And Mount Baker is said to have a mothership that hovers over it a lot. Not always noticeable, but if you look at the cloud cover, you wouldn't see it anyway. Mount Rainier, we won't even, And of course, Mount St. Helens, you've got the case that we're looking into now about the Bigfoot being picked up by the military. I'll be contacting some people that know a little more about that possibly as well soon.
You know what's funny is at my previous residence that had a great view of Mount Baker, myself, Mrs. Spaced Out Radio, and Samantha Mowat, and my daughters along with that, actually were watching lights in the middle of the evening off of Mount Baker one night.
That's cool.
And there were 3 different lights. One was an orangish red, one was a greenish white, and one was white. And they were spread out near, they weren't right at the top of the volcano. They were kind of on, there's a ledge there. If you've ever seen Mount Baker from the north side, it looks like the perfect volcano that you would draw out on a piece of paper. But on the west side of it, there seems to be like a sharp ledge, and they were hovering around that sharp ledge. It was quite interesting indeed.
And it's funny. It's got Mount Baker's got vents that are dormant all over. In fact, Sauk Mountain, which I was talking about earlier, has vents in the back side of it as well, which would be a perfect cavern or something to be hiding in. But even Burlington Hill, like I said earlier, where we were looking for the pond, had Mount Baker vents that were dormant. There's nothing there. Now, how would a trailer, which you're in the middle of a forest, how would a trailer get buried in a volcanic vent? That was, I've got pictures of that as well. That was very troubling to me.
I can see that. You're yawning quite a bit. I thought you'd be gung-ho to go until overtime on this one, buddy.
No, I'm losing my voice.
That's where you got to that's where you got to have a little snap or a little shot of Fireball near you in order to warm things up.
Coffee ain't cutting it.
No, I understand that. We only got about 3 minutes left with you, Eric. Let's talk once again about the Forest Moon Paranormal Paracon that is going on. You mentioned the guests earlier, and you mentioned some of the events. Take us through when on the 22nd and 23rd, if you don't mind. Take us through the schedule that you got planned out for people, and where can people go to find out more information about it?
Okay, there's more details developing daily almost, because there's some stuff I didn't get into. Go on, I'll post a link later, but I do have an event page. If you type in Forest Moon First Annual Paracon, you'll pull up our page, and you can like it, and then you'll see all the details. We have our 9 speakers, hopefully a 10th if we can get a First Nation in there. I don't have the actual timeline of speakers yet. I kind of want to do it hauntings. Mrs. Forest Moon just brought me a Coke. We're good. I have a timeline. I kind of want to do it haunting an entity on one day and non-haunting entity like alien abduction and Bigfoot and whatnot on the second day. And so we're going to go into lectures. There's also going to be a market set up with vendors, hopefully food trucks, that kind of thing. They can walk up into the town. We also have 2 modeling agencies that are coming down. Up. One from Seattle, one's from Texas. And they're going to be setting up photo shoots of their models that I have to clarify, but that either the public can get into the set with the models, or they can just take pictures. I'm not sure which yet, but we have that going on. We have the Pacific North Weird is coming down to shoot an episode. And like I said, it's still developing. We still have a few months to go. And I'm getting new stuff daily, damn near daily. So it's going to be a fun event. It's all free. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's pretty much it.
And it is very public friendly. That's the main thing. And you know what? The free thing, anytime you can put free tickets on, it is good. But the main thing is, that the public is actually going to get to interact and get intimate and close up in conversation with the guests that will be there. And I think that's what excites me pretty well of being involved with this as a speaker.
Yeah, if you could take a skeptic and have them come and listen to a lecture and get them turned around and go, oh my God, there really is something going on, that's when you know you've achieved something.
Right, my friend. Absolutely. You know what? It's that time. It is that time. You made it. 3 hours, my friend. Appreciate it.
It was enjoyable.
Absolutely. You know what, Eric? I really appreciate you taking the time to come out, tell us all about Forest Moon, what you guys do differently than almost everybody else out there. And we'll definitely be staying in touch, and we will talk to you very soon. And thank you for, and wish you all the best, for putting together a successful paranormal conference coming up in October.
Outstanding. And thank you very much for having me on.
All right, my friend. You take care.
You too.
There's our man, Bumblefoot, starting to close us out. Want to thank Eric Cooper, Forest Moon Paranormal. You can find them on Facebook. Find them on their YouTube channel as well. Always appreciated that Eric Cooper is in touch. He's a big fan of this show as well. He listens every single night. Unless he's in Vegas, partying with Mrs. Cooper. Tomorrow night on the show, Eugene Braxton will join us. I literally forgot that I had to talk there for a second. Wow, that hasn't happened in a while. Yeah, the motor mouth actually got tongue-tied. Imagine that. So, remember, thank you for tuning in on the SHR Media Network. If you're on Paranormal Forum, on the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, along with Facebook at Euphoria Chronicles and the SOR Space Travelers. We do it 7 nights a week, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, 3 hours a night. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. It is being revamped as we speak. Well, maybe not right now. Mrs. Spaced Out Radio's in bed. She's got the flannels on. You know what that means? Nothing. That's what that means. Nothing. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. We're going to leave with the man, the myth, the guitar god legend, Bumblefoot himself, rocking us on out right through the end. He does it every night. We'll talk to you in exactly 21 hours from now. I'm ready for it. I hope you are too. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Good night.
I know you're out there somewhere. This is the new totalitarian state. 1,000 eyes are waiting for you to break. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We watched you fall.